Stellar Life, mission log number 245.
Why am I reacting that way? Why do I feel that way? What do I feel? Where did that feeling come from? What am I saying to myself? Like really solid awareness. And often people aren't aware. They're just going through the motions. They're just on that treadmill of life, going through the motions, and they're not aware of why they're doing what they're doing. So helping them have that awareness. And then really, once you have awareness, then you can choose who you are, what you want to do, who you want to be in your life. And when we're not coming from choice, we're coming from pure reaction. And nothing great ever comes from that. And we're not fully in ownership of our own lives.
Welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Get inspired and live out loud. From love, freedom, and success to having it all. Here's your host, coach, speaker, and shining star, Orion.
Roger, you're looking good.
Hi, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. And today we are going to speak about releasing stress, releasing overwhelm, finding more joy, more success, more self-confidence, more self-love. I have with me the incredible Lisa Kaplin. She is a psychologist, a professional life and executive coach, and a speaker. She helps people overcome stress and overwhelm in order to find joy in their personal life and success and meaning in their professional lives. Lisa meets many people who are frustrated, discouraged, and feeling hopeless, and she guides them to manage those emotions and walk into lives that they hadn't thought possible. We all, sometimes we dream too low. We don't dream big enough. And sometimes if we are in a low place, we don't think life can ever get better or even close to what we see maybe other people accomplish, or sometimes the reality is so far away from our dreams that we focus on the gap. So actually, when you stop focusing on the gap, when you start to focus on where you're going, when you start focusing on your dreams, when you start focusing on elevating your state, when you start focusing on how to find more joy, more creativity, more success, more love, more self-love, more self-care, that is the moment where you are getting much, much closer to your dreams, and your dreams will come true. And now, without further ado, on to the show.
2, 1, 0.
Hello, Lisa, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
So before we start, I would like to know how you discovered your passion and what you do, and do you still have the same passion as when you started?
I love that question. My passion really probably started long before I did what I'm doing now. I went to college and I was a finance major, and that is not my passion. And then a few years in the workforce, and I thought, this isn't it. And I decided to become a psychologist. So I got a master's and a doctorate in psychology. Just really loved talking to people, hearing people's stories, helping them. And then about 10 years after I got my doctorate, something was still kind of missing for me. And I went back to school again and got my coaching certificate, and ended up, I thought I was going to just add coaching to my psychology practice, but I ended up loving coaching so much that that's all I do now. And I think I'm more passionate about it now than even when I started, because I see just the benefit for people. I love the empowering aspect of it. I believe in therapy too. For me, I like doing coaching better, and just really watching people grow and step into their power, for lack of a better word, and their confidence. It's unbelievable. I feel very, very, very lucky to do what I do.
Yeah, I hear you. Every time I coach and someone's getting a breakthrough, I don't know, it makes me feel like there's a reason of my beingness here. It's almost like, okay, this is why I'm here. This is a part of my purpose here on the planet, and it feels really good. It feels really good.
Absolutely.
What is the difference between coaching and being a psychologist?
I get asked this all the time. The big difference is really therapy often focuses on traumatic incidents from our past, whether severely traumatic, or everyone receives it differently, but mildly traumatic. and how that influences how we show up today. Coaching taps into our past, but we really don't stay there. So coaching is all about moving forward, and therapy typically, and then there's a variety of therapeutic models, typically focuses on processing pain and situations from our past. That's the short answer.
Can one move forward without dealing with old traumas?
It's hard. You can do things that are moving forward for sure. But what happens often if we don't really face our life and how we feel and our experiences, if we don't really face them and accept them, they can really drain us. So yes, we see people being successful and moving forward with their lives, but I think many of them would say, but I'm exhausted. I feel drained.
I've been doing a lot of work this year on myself. So in my life, I went to hundreds and hundreds of seminars. I did everything Tony Robbins. I did Live a Landmark. I did here and there, and really like so many seminars that are on the grand scale. Like that's not a one-on-one. And this year I did more private work, and I did it through spinal network analysis, which is kind of like an energetic chiropractic. And also that I got one-on-one on a weekly basis, and also through rebirthing.
Ah, interesting. Yeah.
And I feel like I'm cleaner in a way. I'm happier. I'm lighter. Because what I feel this year brought up, what I saw because everything you see from the outside is a reflection of your inside.
Right.
And this whole COVID-19 time for me, and the outside stressors, and also spending a lot of time in Israel, my home country. I mean, I'm now US is my home country, but I grew up in Israel and seeing what's going on there, and it's pretty forceful, and all the COVID-19 laws and the lockdowns and everything. It just brought something from the inside, like an old trauma, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Just everything became more like all the old stuff just became more highlighted, more in HD.
HD.
Yeah. Yes. So I had to clean that. And I think this is the blessing that I had to clean that. And before we started talking, you told me that a lot of people are coming to you for help, for dealing with all those stressors. So what do people come to you with in this period of time?
You know, a lot of what you're talking about, that this time let people sit with their feelings and sit with their thoughts. But I think it also was a time that people started to say, the way I was living wasn't working. And COVID gave them this rare opportunity to say, how do I want to live going forward? A lot of people have said to me, there's no balance in my life. I'm exhausted. I'm stressed all the time. I'm not with my family as much as I want. I don't feel the joy that I want to feel. And a lot of it, they can point to external things, but also internally, right? What's holding us back internally? So I think it's been this scary and overwhelming time, but also a great opportunity for all of us to say, what do I really want out of my life? Life is short. It's fragile. What do I want to do with it? You know, and figure it out. Kind of what you said, that I think you used the word cleansing or cleaning out. It's time. I think we're ready to do it as a world, I hope, as a society. Like, let's find our joy and our happiness. What else do we have?
Right. And so when people come to you, what do they struggle with the most?
People struggle with, and certainly Americans, I'm not sure, I'm sure some other countries struggle with this as well. Americans have this very work. We have to work. We have to make more money. We have to, more.
Work. Then we even sing songs about it.
That's right. It's true. We're great. We're nuts about that. So what I'm seeing is a lot of people say, I've put all of my energy into work. And although many people get value from that, they say something's missing. I'm not having the time I want to spend with the people that I love. And I'm seeing my life flash before my eyes and not doing the things that I wanted to do and not finding meaning in the things that I want to do. So it is a little interesting because there's some studies that have come out in the States that about 40% of American workers are thinking of leaving their jobs to find jobs that are more meaningful to them.
Wow, that's beautiful.
It is, but it's scary for employers.
Of course,
right?
It's scary for them. It's scary for everyone, yes.
It is. It could really dramatically shake up our workforce, maybe in a positive way. So I think what I'm hearing people say is, if I can't find the external, at least harmony that I want in my life, I'll leave. And that makes sense. Also, though, that I push people, and you get this because you've done this work, is let's do the internal work too, because that internal work can actually sometimes make it so the external piece isn't so much of a factor anymore.
Mm-hmm. What you describe for me, it sounds like we live in this, I hope I said the word right, discombobulated puzzle.
Yes.
It's a very long word. Discombobulated.
You got it.
And it's now, people fit in places that they shouldn't fit in. Like people, sometimes a person that likes systems shouldn't be in a position where there's no systems involved. And people do it just because they need the money. They are comfortable. They are inside their comfort zone. They don't want to step out. They need to work. And they are so conditioned. And now there is this almost like this awakening. I just think the puzzle eventually, when you build a puzzle, it's going to get messy again. And then the pieces it looks like it's going to be all apart. But if this is really going to happen, I think the puzzle is going to be more harmonious and more beautiful coming together.
I hope so. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's what people are seeking, that harmonious life,
Yeah. Brendan Burchard said that at the end of your life, you're going to look back and you're not going to think about the money that you made or the houses that you have. It's who do I love and who loved me? That's at the end of the day, this is what it is. Like our human connections. We are social animals. What did I give? What did I get? Like on a spiritual heart level. This is what we're going to live with, not with all our money and fame. I mean, maybe the next generations will know our names, but who cares?
Right. Who cares? Right. Exactly. Who cares?
I mean, some people are living their whole life just to have a legacy. And in the meantime, they forget about their lives.
Right. They're not living in the moment. They're living for that future piece. Right. And they're not in the moment. So they're losing all of the moment.
Yeah. So what do you do to bring people to the moment, to their heart, to healing?
The first thing is really helping people be aware of how they're showing up in the world. Really, like, why am I reacting that way? Why do I feel that way? What do I feel? Where did that feeling come from? What am I saying to myself? Like really solid awareness. And often people aren't aware. They're just going through the motions. They're just on that treadmill of life, going through the motions, and they're not aware of why they're doing what they're doing. So helping them have that awareness. And then really, once you have awareness, then you can choose who you are, what you want to do, who you want to be in your life. And when we're not coming from choice, we're coming from pure reaction. And nothing great ever comes from that. And we're not fully in ownership of our own lives. So once people get to that place where they understand they always have a choice, then there's the power. Then they say, okay, I can choose how to look at this. I can choose how to feel about this. I can choose how to show up. I'm in choice.
I've studied rapid transformation therapy, which is a type of hypnosis. It's by a wonderful woman named Marisa Peer. And she's really good at helping people through her methodology. And she said that knowledge is power, like awareness is power. And why is that the moment we are aware of something, we can get a breakthrough? Can we be aware and still get back into the same patterns?
Yes, that's a great question. So this is why I love coaching so much, because it's not just awareness. Awareness is the first step. Action is the next. And so why is the awareness so important? Because if we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, if we're not really understanding, getting conscious about it, we're in like a default space, right? Like in a reaction space. So once we're aware of it, that's really where the power lies, because the awareness is I can look at anything and not be afraid of it because I'm facing it, because I'm aware. But then, okay, what do I want to do about it? Which is one of the biggest questions I ask my clients. Okay, you just had this huge awareness. What do you want to do with it?
Nothing. Usually it's nothing. It's like, yeah, I got the awareness. Thank you. I feel great about myself.
Thanks for coming. Right. Here's a check. Bye-bye. But that's really the push. Is the awareness is fantastic. And it's even more fantastic when you say, okay, now that I'm aware of it, I'm going to, let's just say when I feel like I'm really tired, I'm going to take a 5-minute break so that I don't yell at my kids. Or,
Mm.
I'm going to go drink a glass of water because I feel hydrated and nourished, or take a walk. That's where the action steps come in. And that's where once you have awareness and action together, you can't be stopped from there.
Yeah, I get it. Can you give me more example? Like, I really relate to when I'm tired, take a break. I've been nonstop, especially with this move from Israel to Florida. I've been like nonstop, and I have a little toddler, and I have my mother with me, and she doesn't speak English, so I need to take care of her needs as well. So it's been like go, go, go. And then I was hosting this weekend. My husband's mother and father came in, and it was wonderful. It was so good to see them. And it just felt like I was, just jet lag, drain, being pulled in many, many directions, trying to be the perfect hostess, the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect daughter. And it's like, oh, and I think yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, it was almost like I was drunk. I was so tired. I hardly could speak. When somebody like me in this situation, what do you do? I have such high expectations of myself. Like, I really want everybody to be fed and well fed and needs to be perfect. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I want to be the best of this and the best of that. So what do you do to calm this? Like, it's almost like my brain is working so much faster than my body.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it is. Well, some questions around the awareness piece is, why do things have to be perfect? What are you saying to yourself about not having them perfect? What would it look like to do this a little less perfectly and still enjoy it? Would be some of the awareness questions I'd ask. What if and why questions. And then, what would it look like to stop for a half hour and just take a break, or go outside for a quick walk, or ask your husband to take over some things, any of those external pieces. But the most important part is understanding why you feel, or one feels the need to have it perfect or have it just so.
Because I want people to love me and think that I'm the best person ever.
And what would happen if they don't?
No, it cannot happen.
See?
No.
And that's really where I think for a lot of us, our fear of what if they don't see me as the best person ever? What if they don't love me? We go to this, then it's a catastrophe. But two things. One, it's unlikely that they would think this at all. And two, it's not a catastrophe. You'd survive it. You don't want it, but you'd survive it.
Right.
And once we know we'd survive it, then, okay, what do I want to do with that?
Right. The thought process is, what if, and what is the worst case scenario?
Uh-huh. And then going there, which is the awareness piece, going to that worst case scenario, and then asking yourself, how likely is it? It's very unlikely that all those people aren't going to love you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've asked yourself, how likely is it? And it's not likely. Okay. Then ask yourself, well, let's just say, what if the worst case scenario happens? What will I do? And you know what you'll do? You'll survive.
I believe so.
I know so. I know so, actually.
It reminds me of Byron Katie's questions. Are you aware of her work?
I've read some of her stuff, but I'm not familiar with like her specific questions.
Question number 1, when you have a thought like that, is this true? Is this thought true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? Because first of all, is this true? Like, yeah, 100%. And then, can you absolutely know that it's true? Actually, maybe not. I cannot absolutely know it. And then, how would you react? What happens when you believe that thought? And then when I believe that thought, like, who am I? And who would you be without that thought? Oh, I'll be more calm, happy, joyful, maybe a better person to others. And then there is a turnaround. Like, if I thought somebody doesn't like me, is this true? Can I absolutely know that it's true? What happens if I believe that? What do I feel in my body? And then if I don't have this thought that that person doesn't like me, what does it feel? And then you can turn it around. Like, I don't like them. Maybe that's the core of it. Yeah, those are powerful questions.
I love those.
Yeah.
They're huge. Because often, I see this with my clients all the time. My clients are telling themselves a story that's not true.
Yeah.
And then they live in that story and then they wonder why they're miserable. Well, you're living in a story that isn't true.
I won an award for storytelling. But seriously, you know how many stories I tell myself every day?
Yeah,
Really?
a lot.
But yeah, like for stage speaking, I won an award for the best storyteller. So I guess if I'm so good at storytelling, I guess I tell myself a lot of stories that are very interesting and have many heroes and villains, but are not always true.
They're not always true. And that's the part that if you hold on to them as truth and when they're not, you drain yourself. You're exhausted.
Yeah, I did an Akashic reading, and one of the symbols that showed up is the phoenix. It's like I go and I burn really, really, really high, and then I crush, and then I rebuild again, and then I burn again, and then like I get into that cycle where they just say, just give it to the phoenix, give it to that imaginary whatever totem animal, and just let her do the whole burning cycle, because it's not good in our bodies to have all these emotions and crush and go up again and have this crescendo and go up and down and up and down. So can you give me and our listeners some tips of how to be more in balance and not have those extremes? Like for me, sometimes I'll do a lot of work on myself and then I'll hear an awful story in the news and I go deeper. I see beyond the news. I don't go only to mainstream media, and I'm almost like a journalist in heart, and I see some things that are not good, and it really affects me. So what can I do to be less triggered and more in harmony besides getting off of, just live on an island, which will help me a lot?
Trust me, I've contemplated that many a times over the last few years. I will say I'm a news junkie as well, and I'm the same way. I like to verify my stories and look at other sources. And then I will ask myself this question: why am I upset right now? What am I saying to myself about it? What can I control? Usually not much, except my own reaction. And what do I want to do about it? So let's say I read a story about the environment, okay?
Ugh.
And and there's a lot of really scary stories.
Yes.
The environment and blah, 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 and animals are dying, and that always gets me. And then I read more stories and I feel all these feelings. Then I want to ask myself, like, what's happening for me? Well, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of animals dying, of our planet, not being sustainable in the long run. I'm afraid for myself. I'm afraid for my family.
Yes.
Then I say to myself, and this is really important, it's okay to feel that way. To really allow myself those feelings, like just sit with those feelings. They are scary. And there's a lot out there, and allow myself to sit with the feelings. And then once I've accepted my own feelings, then I say, what can I do about it? Well, there are some small things we can all do, right? We can recycle. We can watch our carbon footprint. There's things that we as individuals can do that put us back in the seat of, I have some control over some of this. Not all of it, but some of it. And I'm going to do what I can as my own individual person and or my family. Mm-hmm. That's really all I can control. Even my family, I can't fully control, as you know, with a toddler.
Yeah. You got to work with, and you can oh my God, with my toddler, he's so wonderful. And he's he teaches me a lot about being a person and a parent.
Mm-hmm. And what you can control and can't control.
Right. It's the art of letting go. That is the biggest art of all. Letting go. Do you believe in God? Do you believe in higher power?
I do. And I with that and what you said, the power of letting go, it's not to let go and not care.
Yes.
It's to let go of feelings that aren't helping. Like me sitting in fear is not going to fix the environment. It's
Correct.
not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to hurt me. Mm-hmm. So letting go of that fear into, okay, yes, this is scary. This is upsetting. What can I do with it?
Right. Because a lot of the time we do nothing with it except being afraid or angry and feeling like, oh, if I feel those things, I'm doing something. We're actually doing more damage, because whatever state we're at, it's affecting our environment. It's like a ripple effect. When you put a stone in the water, there are ripple effects. And when I think especially especially women, like women have so much power around their environment. So we need to be more in a state of harmony and use all the tools that you share, like have the awareness and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Because sometimes we are so much in our head that we are not in our hearts or in our bodies. We get so much in our head that we get disconnected from our hearts. So we can't even figure out what we feel.
Right. Because we're just like spinning in our head. We're perseverating. There's a good word for you. Spinning in our head.
Say it again. What's the word?
Perseverating.
Thank you so much.
I have no idea how to spell it. Perseverating. It's like obsessing about something in your head, replaying it over and over. And how often do we do that? That's not going to also fix the environment, right?
Right.
That's only going to add to my feeling unhappy, the people around me feeling unhappy, because we're all in the system, right? And we affect each other.
Mm-hmm. So Tony Robbins gives the example of a triangle. Change your physiology. It's almost like having a pattern interrupt from NLP. So you want to, when the moment you feel something that is really stressful, you want to change your physiology. Go for a walk, go for a run, dance, do something. Change your language. What are the words you're saying? The language is a story. It's like, be aware of the story and change it. What you say to yourself, what you say to others, and then change your focus. Because what you focus on, your energy will go to that. So you want to change your focus, your language, and your physiology in the moment, which is really a nice concept until you're in the moment.
That's so true. Like no truer words have ever been spoken. Exactly. It is really hard when you're in that moment to be like, okay, now I'm gonna go dance. Because you're in your head.
Right.
It's so true. And this is what I work with my clients a lot around is how do you break that pattern where you get in your head and then you stay in your head? How do you break the pattern? What are some little things you can do to remind you, oh, I'm in the pattern? Like I will say that to myself. I'll say, I'm in my head. I know I am. Don't judge it. Just be present. And that actually helps me break the pattern of being in my head. Like I observe it.
Yes. I do something similar where it's like a mindfulness practice where I'm so in my head. So let me just go back here and feel the chair that I'm sitting here and feel my body and feel my feet on the floor and feel the temperature in the room. Try to smell something. And that brings me in my body and that calms me down. That and breathing. Breathing really helps me. Like going back to the body.
Yes, the sensory pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did my dissertation on infant memory, which is the sensory memory.
Is it infant memory?
Infant memory. So my dissertation was on this because I asked the question, what happens if kids are abused? They don't remember it like we remember it, right? They can't say, I just moved from Israel to Florida. They can't remember that, but they sense something. And how we sense it is in our bodies, especially when we're babies and infants. So the concept is if you calm the senses down, you tap into maybe some trauma that's remembered through the sensory piece, the smell, the sound, the taste, the touch, the feel, all the senses, exactly what you do to get you back present. You tap into the sensory memories. Yeah,
it makes completely sense. When I did my rebirthing, I went to a memory and a vision of me being a week old. When I did an RTT session with a practitioner, I got to a place of being in the womb and experiencing things. And sometimes we need external help. We can't do it on our own. And it doesn't matter how much we learn or if we teach people, we always have to work on ourselves constantly. It's never ending.
People ask me, when does the journey of self-discovery end? And I say, as you're rolling into that grave, because, it's always, and to your point, and which is good for coaches, by the way, sometimes we need help. We can't get out of that pattern or out of our heads without the help from somebody. And that's where coaches, therapists, all kinds of other options can help us to break those patterns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, somebody told me that we teach what we need to learn or what we have learned.
For sure.
Like I used to be a personal trainer a long time ago just because I was curious about fitness and how to get myself fit.
Right. Of course. Exactly. It makes sense, right? Because that's where we're connected. Yeah.
You talk a lot about self-confidence. Why are people not confident?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, how much time do you have? Right? It's really back to what you talked about, the stories we tell ourselves. Often I say to my clients, what are you saying to yourself about that? And then they say, well, I'm saying I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. Well, no wonder you're not successful in what you're trying to do. You just told yourself that you're not good enough to do it. It's a doom loop a little bit. Our self-confidence leads to how we show up more confidently, but how we show up more confidently leads to our self-confidence. So if you are on a negative spiral, a doom loop, you're constantly not self-confident versus I've got this, I'm good at this, I know how to do this, and really starting to believe it. Then I show up more confidently. People see that, they treat me more confidently, which leads me to think that I'm more confident, and it keeps feeding from there.
So that's external or internal?
It's both. So we internally say something and then we externally live it. And then our environment reinforces the external living of it, which reinforces the internal story we're telling ourselves, if that made sense.
Wow, I've been in mommy mode for such a long time. I think I lost some of my confidence. I used to be, I did an Awaken Your Inner Goddess 7-day challenge, and I had about 1,200 women take the challenge a long time ago.
Oh, awesome.
And it was beautiful, created so many breakthroughs to some women, and it was just beautiful. So I was related to that, feminine goddess. And then I got pregnant. I still felt, well, when I wasn't sick, I felt really beautiful. And then, since I was in mommy mode and lockdown mode, it's almost like I got disconnected to her, to that goddess part. And she's awakening just very slowly, just recently.
Well, it's almost like as a new mom, I feel like we almost give our goddess feelings. Everything goes to our children, especially those first couple of years.
Yes. So what will be a good tip on how to connect to that, even through motherhood?
For me, how I have 3 kids, they're adults now, but how I started to reconnect to myself was finding confidence in my ability to be a mother and also to be my own self, my own individual self. When you're a new mom, especially the first time, everyone identifies you through your child, which is fine and normal, but also making sure you're spending time identifying yourself. Who am I? What are my strengths? What am I good at? They're so far and away above motherhood. Motherhood's fantastic, but there's so many aspects to us, and I think we start to forget them as new moms.
Right. Give me more around that. It's very interesting to me.
I remember when my first was born and I had this feeling of, oh my gosh, I have to keep this kid alive. I have to, he needs to be, it was really scary. He needs to be fed. He needs to be there's all these things and I just got caught in that, oh my gosh. And I remember vividly saying to myself, okay, step back here, observe this. You've got this. You're aware. You're a good caretaker. You're going to do the best you can. Who are you as well in this? And so I made sure that I would read books that were interesting to me. I made sure that I did some things that were not directly connected to my child so that I was an independent person as well as also a mother.
Right. That's what I started doing this year. I took a workshop on Zoom. It's called The Artist's Way, which was really, really great. And one of the exercises they gave us talking about releasing some of the anxiety, they call it morning pages. So every day in the morning, and if you can't do it in the morning, you do it in the evening, doesn't matter, but it's better to do it in the morning. It's always 3 pages and you just do this intuitive writing and you don't edit, you don't judge. You can say blah, 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 blah for as long as you finish the 3 pages and you just write whatever's on your heart. And when you're done, you take the pages, tear it apart and throw it to the trash. So you trash it. So that was a tool that really helped me. And then if there are some nuggets of wisdom, you just remember them and put them in your diary or whatever.
I love that. That's a great idea.
It's a good way to just clean whatever, because there is so much capacity to your friends and your husband and your internal dialogue, you want to just, again, going back to cleanse some of that and put it on paper and let it go.
Right. Release it. Exactly.
And I always finish my morning pages with gratitude, which brings it
Love it.
into a higher vibration.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Starting your day with gratitude. I think so many of us start our day with, oh my gosh, I have to do this. This is overwhelming. What if? And then we kind of start on that negative note. So I love that idea of releasing all that and then being grateful from there and then ready to go with your day.
Right.
Yeah, that's huge.
What makes you happy?
Oh, what a great question. So many things make me happy. So many things make me happy. My family, my work, my internal growth journey, the constant internal growth journey, hopefully the end of the hard aspects, the very hard aspects of COVID make me happy. Being vaccinated makes me really happy. Having my husband vaccinated, he's an orthodontist, and it's been a very challenging time for him. So lots and lots of things. The people I meet, the experiences, the journeys, my dog, my yard, so much.
That's great. You know, there is something in the Jewish wisdom, and they say that when you are in a happier state, when you're in a state of higher vibration, whatever happened in the state of nature, which is, it can be cancer, it can be COVID, it can be whatever. When you're in this higher state, you control the nature of your body and you can manifest healing, even a placebo effect. When you're in this higher, there is so much research around placebo and even nocebo. So nocebo means that when you are in a negative mindset, you can manifest something in the physicality that is negative. And when you have a good placebo and you believe in something that is helping you, that will manifest in your body as well. So being in that state of happiness is an antidote for illness and depression. And it's just overall, I think it's the best pill on earth.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, and think about what stress does ultimately to your body, right?
Right.
It just tears your body down. So absolutely, that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So by having awareness, by having I believe, a connection to source, and like when Dyer used to say, letting go and letting God, we can come into perfect healing on all levels.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Yeah.
Lisa, what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
Let's see, 3 top tips to live in a stellar life. That's a good question. First is believe that you already live in a stellar life. Act as if. And then you're already there. The second is surround yourself with people who also believe that for themselves and for you. And the third is probably drink enough water, take care of yourself physically. Get a good night's sleep, drink water, those physical pieces that so influence how you show up for the day.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And if people want to consult with you and follow you and learn from you, where can they go?
My website is lisakaplin.com. It's Kaplin, which is a different spelling. And you can also reach me at lisa@lisakaplin.com.
Thank you so much, Lisa Kaplin. I really appreciate you. This was a wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners. Remember what Lisa told you. Believe that your life is stellar. Surround yourselves with people who believe your life is stellar. And drink water, sleep well, take care of your body, and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.
Thank you for joining me on my mission to light people up and change lives around the world. I hope today's conversation inspires you to step up, go after the life of your dreams, and be who you want to be. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to go to stellarlifepodcast.com for show notes, transcripts, and other cool stuff. And please subscribe, review, and help spread the word by sharing us on Facebook and Twitter. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.